You, not as bad as you.
Yeah.
That was
Imagine
scary.
it's
I was scared. Yeah, I was scared.
got it in the same area.
Pastor Kirk.
Thank you, Jesus.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, we will call to order a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to be held on Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers at 301 South 5th Street. Our invocation will be presented by Pastor Gregory Kirk of the United Gospel Rescue Mission. Then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Father in heaven, I thank you for this day that we can be here. I ask that you watch over the business of our city, Father. May the decisions made here reflect the goodness of our community. Lord, watch over us. Guide every decision that's made. In Jesus' name I ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Kirk. Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Parson? Here. Councilwoman Fox? Here. Councilwoman Horton? Here. Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilwoman Taylor? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Here.
Mayor Davis?
Here.
We have 7 present and a quorum.
Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting. Seeing none, citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. I believe we have a Miss Judy Russell. If you would please just approach the podium and state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Judy Russell, 1405 Parkview Drive here in Poplar Bluff. I've been a citizen my entire life here, and I'm a retired teacher. And since retiring, I've used a lot of my time in advocacy for animals, especially cats and dogs. I network with AWA as well as Hearts for Rescue and SEMO Spay and Neuter Project and Itty Bitty Kitty City in Ellington. They have a facility here in Poplar Bluff at PetSmart. And then also I network with rescues mainly in St. Louis who take a lot of our animals from this area. And they put them in pre-approved foster homes and approved adoptions. So anything we do in our community here spreads out like a wave and affects other people concerning these animals. And a concern that I have, and I gave you a paper, each of you a paper, and I'm not saying everything on there is factual. I'm saying it is factual to my knowledge, and that's why I'm here to try to provide some input along the way waiting until anything's finished to say, oh, I wish I would have helped. I feel like as I've been at the pound over the last few years that I see the workload increasing, but not the employee help. And I see the pound just the other day even completely packed in the dog department, which I know that means that's one of the reasons euthanasia can happen. If a dog or cat is extremely ill, if they're violent, or if it becomes so packed that eventually they have to start looking at who's been there the longest. And when we cut down on manpower hours, then it's going to affect the cleanliness of the shelter. And I'm not saying ours is dirty. Anywhere it would affect that. It would affect the patrolling in the community. It would also affect the number of rescues outside our community, being able to network with our employees to get these dogs out of the pound and into homes elsewhere. And I feel like that we have enough in our budget with some other things that have been done to be able to pull Melanie in as full-time rather than part-time. I think she is a wonderful asset to this community, and I've worked in a lot of these places, and I wouldn't say that about Melanie if I didn't believe it. I think it would help the morale of the community, of also the place there. You know, when we're under a heavy workload, it makes it difficult. I think it would be easier to help get the animals adopted. It's hard to reach people by phone or by Facebook to talk to them about it. And I've given you the hours of the pound. If those could be expanded, it would be amazing. They had posted a picture the other day of a dog that, look how scared it is. And it was, you could see it was terrified. And they said he needs out immediately. Well, it was 3:30 Friday, and it ended at 3 o'clock. I tried so hard to go ahead and get him out because I had a rescue. But I found it a little late. But I had a rescue. Tough. Stay in there, dogs. Stay in there. And when I went in to get him, he was the last cell, the last cage on the left, huddled in the corner with his head bowed and would not look up at me, would not. So he stayed in there extra long when we just needed 30 more minutes in that case. So I pulled him out and got him, and he ended up going to St. Louis. But I'm just saying how much more we could do if we had Melanie full-time and worked at improving these hours so that we could get these dogs out at a faster rate, thus lower euthanasias. Thank you for...
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have recommended hours of other shelters of what they typically do?
To be honest, the more rural community is, the less it's going to be compared to ours. I could check around on that and find out, and I would be glad to.
Just to kind of give us a basis of, you know, what is better. And I know I've seen it often through social media of that, and I'm sure it's concerns of others. So, but I would just be interested to see, you know, if it's, you know, expanding it 1 hour, if it's offering an hour or two on a Saturday morning, or, you know, just kind of seeing
Right.
what others offer.
Yes, yes. Also, with the shorthandedness, it makes it very hard. I'm trying to put myself in the workers' places here. Very hard for them to keep up with who has contacted us on Facebook, because I see a lot of people complain that, well, I always sent an email and I never got a message. Well, you know what? They're busy cleaning poop and tending to animals. And then, well, I called and left a message. Well, they haven't had time to get to it. And, you know, they're still going to be shorthanded with Melanie working full-time. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think they're now taking on code enforcement. I could be wrong on that. My husband's a retired fireman, and he had to, also I get to say had now, he had to do code enforcement for a while. And when I talked to him about this, he just shook his head and he said, Judy, he said, that was 2 full-time positions when I worked. And I said, and now we've got Dan and Mark doing it. Like, here, you guys don't have enough to do. Yeah, they do. That means your code enforcement's also going to get overlooked a lot because they don't have time. So that concerns me too. And I want to say that Daniel St. Lawrence has done an amazing job on social media. That does so much at the other rescues in the bigger cities. They go to that. And sometimes they contact me or some of my other good transport friends and say, can you get this dog for me? I know I've got somebody that can do that one. And it's just a networking system. You wouldn't think just right here in Poplar Bluff that a dog would be going up to, gosh, I had one go to Wisconsin. I had one go to the East Coast. And there are volunteers of legs of transport that end up setting up to get it done. And you're going to see less and less of that with the price of gas so high, which is why cupcakes cost $5 at a fundraiser now. But it's hard. And I can't imagine Dan and Mark and Mel trying to do all they're doing now. And then these more restraints that they have, it's got to be hard when you're the one putting the animal down. And you feel like something else, something more could have been done. something more. Because unlike the rest of us, they don't have owners that usually commit to a life to them. They're not necessarily a lifelong pet. They're disposable. And that's got to hurt the employees that have to put them down.
Okay, Ms. Russell, I think your time's up there, but thank you very much for bringing
Thank you.
this
I appreciate
issues.
it. And thank you all for all you do.
forward.
Do you want me to find out about the shelter?
If you wouldn't mind, yeah, just to give us kind of a basis to go off of.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Is there anyone else that would like to approach the council regarding the issue? If not, we will go to workshop items for discussion. Item A, the city council will consider a recommendation from the Municipal Utilities Advisory Board regarding a territorial agreement between the city of Poplar Bluff and Ozark Border Electric Cooperative. Our city manager, Mr. Mr. Bach will present, our utilities manager.
Well, I'll let Matt discuss it if he wants to,
Go right ahead, Mr. Bach.
in grave detail. No. Yes, Mayor, members of the council, this is a agreement between the City of Poplar Bluff and Ozark Border Electric Cooperative. Our previous agreement expired in 2017, and that was a 20-year agreement. At that time, both parties agreed to a 5-year extension, and that will expire in August of 2022. This proposed agreement is for 30 years. It also makes minor modifications to the zones, changing some areas in Zone 2 into a Zone 1. And just so you know, a Zone 2 is a blended service area where any new development is served by Ozark Border, and a Zone 1 territory allows any new development to be served by the city. Basically in the southwest corner of the territorial map, that goes from a Zone 2, so any which would be around Heartland Express, basically. Anything new there would be a Zone 1, and we would have the opportunity to serve. Staff and I reviewed the agreement and revised map and would recommend the City Council's approval. And also, this was discussed at an earlier advisory board, and would also recommend the approval of the territorial agreement between the city and Ozark Border Electric Cooperative. Any questions?
Make a motion, we move this to the voting session held March 21st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the city council will consider a proposal regarding an airport hangar agreement. Our airport manager, Gary Pride, will present this item.
Good evening, everyone. Each one of you have a map that was presented to you when you came in of the portion of the airport property. And if I could just, you see the highlighted portion on the map, and if I could take just a moment to give you just a little bit of history of an agreement that was entered into by the city and a company from here, you'll understand where we're headed with this. In 2010, the city entered into a cooperative agreement with Global Medical Response, the parent company of what is known locally as Air Evac. Within this 20-year agreement, they would lease a small section of the airport property, and they could also build a 4,000 square foot hangar for the use of a medical helicopter and a medical fixed wing aircraft. And then at the conclusion of that 20-year agreement, ownership of the hangar would revert to the city, and Air Evac would still have the option of renting the hangar space, or simply walking away from it, whichever they chose to do. And there's approximately 9 years left on that original lease. Now, this agreement proceeded as planned until 2019, when Air Evac needed to change their business plan. And in order to prevent a competing air ambulance company from locating at the local regional medical center, Air Evac built an on-site base at the local hospital. Now, that that kept the helicopter based up there and not at the airport like it had been prior. Now, as the business plan continued to change, the fixed-wing aircraft that was located at the airport as well was actually relocated by the parent company of Air Evac to Alaska. So it was gone also. Now, these actions left the hangar empty out at the airport, and we were not allowed to use it because it was still their property. Now, I've been in negotiations with the parent company, the Global Medical Response, for the past year, attempting to gain either use or possession of that hangar. You know, that space is desperately needed out there. We have a waiting list of aircraft that would love to be based here, but we have no room for them. Now, while differing options were on the table over the past year, an agreement has been proposed wherein the parent company will simply allow us to take immediate ownership of that hangar. The only stipulation is that we not allow the hangar in question to be leased by a competing emergency medical provider. So they don't want anybody in direct competition with them coming in and using that hangar. Now, since technically they could retain ownership of this hangar for 9 more years, I don't really perceive this as an unreasonable stipulation that they're asking for. Noting that we would take immediate ownership of this 4,000 square foot insulated hangar in excellent condition, easily valued at $350,000 if we were to build one like it. So my recommendation, contingent on the city attorney's endorsement, would be to agree to the stipulation that the parent company has asked for and take immediate possession of that hangar. And you see the hangar highlighted there on the map in front of you.
There's no monetary exchange for this. It's just the contingency of 10 years.
That's correct.
Yeah, that was really, Gary and I, we've been having this discussion since July of 21 or 20, whenever it was that I became city manager, about doing something with this hangar. It's sitting there empty. He's asked them to let somebody else lease it out. He's asked for them to give us what can we buy it from you for? We've offered them different scenarios, and it's really just kind of been, he'd send an email and not get response, and we've just kind of been waiting on them to reply. And this is really kind of out of the blue that they did this all of a sudden. It's really it's a big deal for the airport. He's right. We have aircraft that are owned by local businesses and local individuals that aren't keeping their planes here because we don't have any space for them. So for us to just have this drop in our laps with just this one small contingency on it, I think it's a great deal for the airport and a great deal for the city. So I appreciate Gary and his diligence and
Continued effort. trying
pestering of
to
the
get it done.
parent company.
I hoped he was going to say ruthlessness, but he didn't throw that in there.
Ruthlessness.
We thank you for working on this.
Okay, any other
Brian?
questions?
Make a motion to move this to tonight's voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action required items, item AA, bill number 8372. The city council will take action on an ordinance regarding change order number 2 for the Poplar Bluff Police Department building project.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8372.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 2 relating to the Poplar Bluff Police Department project.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8372.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 2 relating to the Poplar Bluff Police Department project.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8372.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Bill number 8372 has been adopted. Bill, action item, BB Bill number 8373, the city council will take action on an ordinance regarding an airport hangar agreement.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8373.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a mutual termination agreement with Aerovac Life Team for the termination of a lease of property at the Poplar Bluff Airport.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8373.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a mutual termination agreement with the Air Evac Life Team for the termination of a lease of property at the Poplar Bluff Airport.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8373. Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Fox,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Bill number 8373 has been adopted. Item CC, the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the Open Meetings Law, Section 610.02, 1.1, .2, .3, .9, .11, .12, .13, and .14. Do we have a motion to go into a closed meeting after the manager's report?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Mr. Winters?
You know, it's been kind of nice. I haven't had to talk much tonight, so I really don't have much other than, how about those Lady Raiders, the women's basketball team, winning the regional tournament and #1 seed in the national tournament. That's
Yes.
exciting. We've had an exciting year and a past year or so of sports in the Poplar Bluff. So, and basketball is my favorite time of the year. So that's all I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if there's nothing
I
else.
just wanted to give another shout out to Greg Smith and his team here at the Coliseum for another back-to-back weekend of events. So,
That has to be a lot of work to put all that dirt down
Yeah.
and pick all that dirt up.
It is, and you know, actually today we had a couple, 2 or 3 guys from the street department that were in here helping, a couple, 2 or 3 guys from the parks department that were in here
Good.
helping. They've got a convention that starts Wednesday for the United Pentecostal group that was here last year. So they've got some work to do to get it all put back together before they start moving their stuff in. So yeah, he's been busy. He's really doing a great job here.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Meeting adjourned.